Hey there, everybody. Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter from CARTERMATT.com.
Welcome to part 1 of our official Big Brother Canada 8 cast preview. Yesterday, I went through some of the players, just quick first impressions, but now Jessica and I, we have put in the work. We have watched a lot of videos, especially the interviews that Ika did for ET Canada, which Ika did a pretty good job on those. And we also looked at some bios. We have a lot of information. Our brains are stored to the brim with as much soundbite stuff as possible. And let's start with this though. How are you feeling about the cast since you weren't on the video yesterday?
Yeah, I'm really liking a lot of people in the cast. I even like that there are some people in the cast that feel like they're part of the cast to kind of stir the pot and make it a little more troublesome. I think that this can be a really good season with this cast. There are some people I'm already all in on rooting for, and I haven't seen them play yet.
And there are some serious people with train wreck potential, and I look for this. I need like the week 3 meltdown from someone every season. So I'm hoping we get that from this group. But we're going to talk in this video about the men. And we'll sort of go through a lot of the players, talk about their interviews, what we like, what we don't like. I mean, there'll be maybe more of a full prediction closer to the premiere. But this is sort of a chance to at least get our early ideas out there. But before we dive in to the guys, if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Part 2 with the women will be coming tomorrow. And we're going to have a lot of other coverage all season long, including live feeds. The good thing about the live feeds this season, by the way, is this. You don't have to reenact the experience of me running outside at like 1 in the morning to check the full moon to see if it aligns with the leaked videos outside the Big Brother US house. It's Eastern time. They'll go to bed earlier.
That's true, but we'll save that for this summer.
Yeah, the slowly just my disintegration into insanity during the Big Brother live feeds last summer is one for the books, everyone.
It was something special.
It was an experience, but okay, well, why don't you get us started here with the guys?
Okay, I want to start with Sheldon.
Okay.
I love Sheldon. I am already all in on Sheldon. He is my pick to ride till the end right now, as far as on the side of the guys. There's just, he's so genuine, and there's something about that. Maybe it's just because we just watched The Circle last month, and all the people who were really genuine were able to make these cool connections and go really far. And I know that it's not the same game, and I know that Big Brother plays different. But I think because I'm still kind of in that headspace, and also with Big Brother, the longer you're in the house, if you go in there and you're not who you are outside of Derek, it's very difficult to keep that up for months on end. And so him going in with this attitude where he's like, I'm going to be me, and I'm going to be adaptable, and he's looking at the game day by day. And that's something that a lot of people kind of make the mistake of, that, I'm going to go in with this game plan and this is going to be my plan. So him going in and saying, I'm going to go in and I'm going to be adaptable day by day, depending on what's happening, who's in the house, and sort of what the challenges are, is such a great way to play this game, because this game is forever changing. And one of the other things that he said is that he's not a partier, and that he knows that Big Brother can kind of be a bit of a party situation. We have seen that. But that he even has a plan for his weaknesses, that he knows how he's going to deal with that. And I just kind of like that he's thought of a bunch of different sort of scenarios and how to deal with his strengths, how to deal with his weaknesses, and how to get further in the game with that. And I really like that.
The first thing that surprised me was that his job and his personality did not align in the slightest. I thought because he's a wrestler, he was going to come on there and be like, all right, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to pin everyone. And he was just like, all right, so I am very calm. I am very collected. He's very cerebral. I thought he came across fairly well in his interview with Ika. I got a good perspective on who he is. He is not a big fan of showmances, so thank you, Sheldon.
I like that as well. I also really like that he separated the game into sort of house and twists. and then people, and was like, I can focus on this one, I can focus on the people, and I can deal with that. The house twists, I gotta roll with the punches.
This is what I'm worried about with him. I do really like him. I don't know if I'm as all in as you are on him, but mostly because
we're already not talking, and the season just started.
This is the problem. The one thing I'm worried about with him is he too calm? And what I mean by that is, if there's a lot of chaos going on in the house, and he is sort of the fire's in the background, and he's the dog sitting there being like, this is fine, is he going to actually, people are going to be like, what's wrong with that guy? Like, he's taking this way too easily, and sometimes calmness can lead to people being really, really paranoid that maybe he's up to something.
Or he can be the person that's like, oh, the house is burning, come over here, and we can all kind of deal with it together. Sheldon.
It's all going to be based on, I think, how good his social game is, because, yeah, if he's able to put people at ease and make them feel special and ask about things in terms of how can we help your game as opposed to this is going to help my game, then I think your love for Sheldon is very much merited. He's got that potential.
He does.
I'm not fully sold, but I'm cautiously optimistic about Sheldon.
I'm a little more sold too, also just on the fact that because he's genuine, and there are some other people in the house that I think he's going to really vibe really well with, who are also kind of on that same level with him, that I think he's going to do all right.
All right, let's go now to Nico Vera, who is a big fan of the show.
Yep.
He claims he is very manipulative. He really tried to lay all this out to Ika. He also compared himself to a Canadian Paul, which I feel like comparing yourself to Paul, not always going to generate the best reaction in the world. I think he's got a chance to go far, but I also think he has tremendous week 3 train wreck potential where it all falls apart for him, and he had this whole idea as to how all this was going to go, and it's sort of like Ronnie in Big Brother 11, who really thought he had all this stuff figured out, and then he just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled. I think there's a small chance that happens with Nico. I don't think he's anywhere near as socially awkward as Ronnie is, but I could see this falling apart for him at some point sooner than he imagines.
I'm a bit worried about Nico, and I'm always worried about people outside of Derek that go into this house and say that they're not going to really play as themselves, because this is Big Brother, and you are on this show 24/7, live feeds are going, you're in there for a long time, and there's only so long you can pretend to be somebody else unless you're trained to be somebody else like Derek was. So I'm a little bit worried when he's like, oh, I'm strong and loud and aggressive, but I'm going to be the complete opposite. I'm going to be calm and cool and collected. It's just like, okay, but we know that Big Brother is going to stir it up. You've got all these different types of personalities in there. Already looking at this cast, there are people that are absolutely, I'm already like, these people are just, it's not going to happen for them. There's going to be fights. There's going to be problems. And then I see Nico, and I'm wondering, okay, is this going to be the thing that sparks it off for him? So I'm a little bit worried that that's going to happen, and that side's going to come out anyways.
I think there's a pretty good chance that Nico may be on the outside by the time that some people are celebrating Easter. I don't know if there's a huge chance he's going to be sticking around for a long period of time. But I think if the chips kind of fall in the right way, I think he's devious enough and manipulative enough that he can go fairly far, and he could be a threat to the end. He's a very feast or famine player to me. He's either going to go early or he's going to make it pretty far.
Yeah, there's a couple players that I feel that if they get into a good alliance, that they'll be all right. And Nico, I'm just not sure. So next I want to talk about Kyle.
Okay.
I really like Kyle. So there's something really nice about having someone like Kyle on the show who's very open about what he's gone through, and because I just feel like there's a lot of people outside the house and maybe even people inside the house that haven't spoken about this that are going to really be able to relate to him on a very real way. And a lot of the players that I feel go really far in this game are the people that can make those genuine connections and have sort of those ride or dies and the people that they're just like, yeah, I can understand that. Either I've gone through something like that or someone in my family has gone through something like that, and then boom, connection.
On a personal level, I really like Kyle. He is a really fascinating dude. He's got the long hair. He's got the headband. He's a power lifter.
Yep.
He's also overcome a heavy drug addiction that he talked about in his interview with Ika. He has been through a lot. It's given him perspective. I think he will have a lot of interesting wisdom to share with other people in the house. Yep. I think they will like that. But I also feel like his muscles are so obvious that I feel right now Kyle has major first or second jury member vibes to me, where, you know, being a big jacked guy, it doesn't actually help you all that much on Big Brother.
No, because it makes you immediately a target.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, the things I was talking about him being this person that people can maybe relate to his story and what's going on and then really like him. So add how likable I think he's going to be on top of the fact that he's going to look like a physical threat. I'm a little worried about him, but I'm excited to watch him.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch Kyle. I hope that he makes it far. I think he could be an interesting story. I like people on Big Brother and Big Brother Canada who I haven't really seen before.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've seen Kyle before, so I'm happy about that. I feel like he's got a really good chance to make the jury. I don't think he'll be a super early boot. Yeah. Speaking of people, though, who could be a super early boot, Jamar Lee right now is a heavy frontrunner to me for person who is extremely likely to win HOH maybe week 2, develop an enormous case of HOH-itis that it might be bigger than the entire house, and then eventually implode his game on the way to maybe getting voted off the very next week.
I think that Jamar and his personality is going to rub some people the wrong way. Anyone that comes in that has to say that they're confident like 18 times in an interview ends up coming across to me as somebody that, like, if I came into that personality, I'd immediately be like, no, I'm not having this. Like, it's too much. Like, when you look at someone like Sheldon comes across as confident. He didn't have to tell me that he's confident. I can see that he's confident in who he is. Where Jamar felt more like, I need to tell you that I'm confident. I need to tell you over and over again how amazing I am. I am so good. I am so cool. Everybody's going to love me. It's like, I can see that grating on some people, especially the people in the house who are a little more genuine feeling, like Hira, who we haven't spoken about yet, or a Sheldon, or a Brooke, who we haven't spoken about yet either. Like, I can just kind of see that rubbing people the wrong way, especially someone like a Brooke, who we will talk more about, but she was very, you know, I'm not really into sort of these alpha males that are all like, I'm amazing. So that's I can see it happening. So for me, I feel that if Jamar doesn't win HOH in the first week, that he can be on the outs, or if he doesn't find himself in a good alliance. And luckily this season, it feels like there's not a lot of bros. There's some, but there's not as many as there has been in the past.
I feel like there's a serious, like with production, I'm sure they don't want another Pretty Boys. I know some people didn't like the Pretty Boys, but I feel like a lot of the super fan sort of perspective is they killed a lot of the momentum of the season because it was really, really predictable for most of it. I don't think they want another really predictable season. Jamar's one of the people who seems most likely to be in a Pretty Boys-like alliance. He says that he loved Anthony. He's someone who does come across as very, 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 very confident. I think if he does get into an alliance, he's a great person to have in your alliance because he will always be a big target, a bigger target than you.
Yes.
That's a good reason to keep him in the game for a long time. But he does have a softer side. He talked about loving his mom. He talked about living in a shelter. He has some experiences that I think could make him relatable. If he leans forward more with that when he's in the house, maybe he's just like running on crazy, like, I gotta really put myself out there, like adrenaline right now.
Yeah, I just wonder if people can cut through kind of that I'm amazing, look at my confidence, and get into more of him, then I think he's got a better shot. It's just kind of, how hot is he going to come into the house?
Yeah, and I think right now he's going to come into the house about 120 degrees, so I think he probably needs to win the first HOH, which I think he kind of wants to do, or have somebody who he's close to win it and realize that he's a good target to hide behind.
Yeah. Okay, so next we're going to talk about Hira. I mentioned him already because I really like him. He's from Brampton, which is a place that I love. I once saw the Brampton Batman. I know that you probably mentioned him the other day, but it was like crazy. I was just driving down the street, and there goes the Brampton Batman, just walking down the street towards Tim Hortons. It was awesome. Anyways.
Google it.
Yeah, Google. It's cool. He's a local celebrity up there. So yeah, I just like him because he, again, comes across as really genuine. I don't necessarily think that he's going to go really far in the game, but I can see him being somebody that people will start coming to because he is really genuine and he just kind of tells it like it is for himself. That will be in a house filled with lies. This feels like a good place that you could go to someone like him to actually just have a genuine talk when you're getting a little tired of it all. So I can see him staying around for a little while, but I don't know if I see him winning the game.
I will say this. I started off watching Hira's interview being very just not super optimistic about his chances. But then I sat back, I sort of thought a lot about it. I mean, even right now, I'm looking at all the guys, and I'm sort of thinking to myself, you know what? I'm really talking myself into Hira more and more and more as someone who I can see going really, really far, because I think there is going to be a lot of anti-alpha bro mentality in the house.
Yep.
I think we're going to see a lot of those guys get targeted early by the women. They don't want another pretty boy situation.
Nope.
I think Hira, like you said, he comes across very, very genuine. He wants to play an honest game. I think him being a Canadian Sikh, and he's talked about being the first one on the show. Yep. I think people are going to be fascinated by him, and I think they're going to want to talk to him and get to know him, and I think he can use that to build really good social connections with a lot of people. I think he is probably a mid-jury player, at least. I think he's going to go a long ways. I think his problem, now that I'm thinking about it more, is probably just if he gets down to maybe Final 5, everyone's going to be like, oh, he's really, really likable. Is he going to be able to pull through in those competitions in the end? I think if Hira gets to the end, Hira wins Big Brother Canada.
I think the thing that makes me the most worried about him, besides the fact that he is going to be very likable, and I think he will be able to build a lot of relationships, is that he wants to play an honest game. And this is Big Brother, and there are going to be times that you're going to have to bounce some checks in this games. And if he's not willing to do that, he might end up just gone.
I feel in my gut, I don't think Hira's going to do it on day 8. But I'm hoping that day 50 comes around. He's close to the finish line. He sees the money. He recognizes, this is for myself. It's for my family. I think I mean, as long as it's not so far beyond the pale where he's having to swear on something, I could see him doing something to get there. I just worry about his likability. But I'm much higher on him now than I was probably just even 30 minutes ago.
Personally, I just like him, and I would like him to stay in the game because I want to watch him in the game.
Yeah, I want to watch him in the game too, and I think he's one of the most interesting people to me out of any of the guys.
I agree.
All right, now I'm going to talk about Jean-Luc Kuiper because I feel I'm pretty high on Jean-Luc, and it's not so much that I like him in terms of a personality. I just think that when you look at the mix of the cast, I think he's somebody who could make it fairly far because he doesn't stand out for any one reason to me. He talks about wanting to be a flirt, so he's probably pretty high on the list of maybe being showmantic at some point. He is a fairly recent fan, so he's not going to be targeted for being a super fan. He thinks that Dane is the GOAT, which you haven't seen all the season, so I don't know why you think Dane is the GOAT. But he is a little bro-y. It's funny, the way his vocal cadence, he's like a younger, non-MacGyver Lucas Till. I did an interview with Lucas Till not that long ago, and they kind of talk similarly. But no, I think he's going to be pretty social. There's not a lot of reasons that people are going to dislike him. I could see him getting into a showmance, and not that I'm wanting this to happen because I don't want this arc, but I could see him getting in a showmance, him and his showmance winning a lot of HOHs, and Jean-Luc easily making it to the final 3 and being sort of a threat there.
Yeah, I mean, he's a journalist, so I feel like I kind of should be rooting for him. And there's some things that I like about him. I mean, he is smart, and he's athletic, and he's social. So he has a good mix of everything that you do need to win this show. He is really bro-y, which I'm not as interested in, but because there's not a lot of bros on this season, I'm kind of wondering if that's going to be something that's just going to work against him a little bit. So, and because he's really into Dane and the pretty boys and stuff like that, and there aren't a lot of bros this season, I'm just not sure how it's going to work out for him.
I think it's all going to depend on how he acts in the house, right? Because I think if he is full-on alpha male, then yeah, he will be targeted, and I think he'll be targeted fast. I kind of view him in my head. Maybe it's because of the word journalist, and I don't know a lot of journalist alpha males. Maybe we don't hang out with the right people. Yeah. But I think he's going to be a little bit more laid back, and I think he'll be adaptable. And yeah, he's not so much the person I'm rooting for out of the guys per se, but he's probably someone who I think just has a really, really good chance of making it fairly far.
Okay, so next I want to talk about Chris.
Chris.
Because Chris is from Markham, and I was also born in Markham, so shout out to Markham there. So, yeah, he is he's just a wild card. Like, he feels like, I don't know how to say it. It's just
I'll say it. This guy's a real weirdo.
He is strange.
Yeah.
He is strange. And so I worry a little bit about him that he may not be able to last that long in the game because he is strange. I think he's not going to be able to make the connections that he needs to make, but I think he's going to be tremendously entertaining for all of us.
You know how Chris talks about all this sort of brain neuroscience stuff? I want to do like a brain experiment with Chris where we just watch him for most of the season and see. Because, I mean, I'm a weirdo too. I'm not dissing Chris for being a weirdo.
Oh, I am too. I am also from Markham. We are the same.
But he's just so out there. Like the way he was talking to Ika at times. I mean, it was confusing. He goes on these like really weird tangents. He's both very sure of himself, but also completely not aware of how other people view him. He kind of looks like Kenny from season 2 with the beard.
Yeah.
He looks very much like he is that sort of hipster, but I don't picture Chris drinking artisanal tea all the time.
I do.
Well, maybe
he feels like he's a hipster. He feels really strange. He doesn't feel self-aware that he is strange, and which is kind of interesting because most of us that are a little awkward or strange, we know who we are, and we acknowledge that we are what we are. So that was kind of interesting to see that. I just think he's going to have a hard time making connections because he is strange.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that he's going to be a first boot or anything like that. I think people just be like, oh, that's just Chris, and that he'll last a little while. I just don't know, because he's so strange, if he's going to be able to make those connections and go that far. But I think he's going to be entertaining.
I think there's a good chance Chris is the first boot. I hate to say it, but I think
it's going to be Jamar.
I think he's just so out there that I don't know. He's maybe going to say the wrong thing to the HOH because he doesn't know how to properly have that conversation in a real life setting. I just think he's
like a brain specialist.
That doesn't mean that he's a psychology expert. I worry a lot about his communication ability, and I like Chris. I'm fascinated by Chris. I would much rather have Chris make it to the final 3 than John Luke make it to the final 3, but I just feel like there's a pretty good chance that Chris is going to be in danger sooner rather than later. I hope I'm wrong.
Come on, Chris, do it for Markham.
Yes, do it for Markham. Okay, so Michael, he's the last one of the guys we got.
Yeah.
Military man Michael. I will say, I went on a real journey with Michael through his video because the moment that he said the word victim noises, I was out a record amount of time because okay, I don't need another person who's going to make, people feel like they're victims all the time or any of that. I'm out on that. I didn't like Cody for that. But then he continued. He's a really kind of strange dude in his own right with his walking around in his underwear, and that he's got a good sense of humor. I actually really did like what he said about him wanting a bulletproof vest in the form of someone to hide behind. Mm-hmm. So he kind of knows the game better than I expected that he would coming in. He also has gone through a lot. He talked about his mom having cancer. He's more well-rounded than I thought he would be. I'm not fully in on him just because victim noises makes my ears scream and makes me want to cry, but he's not exactly what I thought he was going to be.
Yeah. I was out once I heard the victim noises, and I didn't come back in on him. And I'm actually wondering, this is again where I think all this little, like, the sort of is going to come in, because we have other people in this house. Yeah. We have a nurse. We have someone who's a care worker with people with disabilities. Yeah. We have someone else who's a social worker in this house. I think that there are so many people in this house that are working on the other side of his victim noises, that are actually working with people and helping people and giving to people, that Michael's going to have a problem.
I think it all depends on does he bring that attitude. It's almost like with Jamar. Is Michael going to bring that attitude into the game?
I don't know. He brought it up in the interview right away. So if that's his attitude and he's not going to hide that attitude, I think with so many other people in the house being in a role of caregiving, that it's going to be, I don't know, for Michael. I think
if he can mask that part of his personality, I think he can make it reasonably far. I think the thing with Cody, though, and I mean, maybe, I don't know how big of a big brother, I don't know if Michael is a big fan of Cody's season or anything like that, but the thing to remember with Cody is, yeah, he was very popular, but he was popular, at least to me in part, because he was very anti-Paul, but he wasn't, he was not a good player, and Michael is probably not going to be a great big brother player, but I do think he is a little bit more complicated than I thought he was going to be going in. I'm not really rooting for him, but I'm curious to see kind of how it all plays out, because he could be targeted early for being an alpha bro in that mold, even if he isn't trying to be one when you get in there. But I think for now, I mean, I would say Hira right now is my favorite of the guys.
Sheldon.
I like Sheldon a lot too, but I think John Luke is the guy I think is probably going to make it the furthest overall.
Yeah, I think John Luke has a really good chance of, like I said, he's smart, he's social, he's athletic. And so, I mean, unless people recognize that right away and they're just like, okay, John Luke gotta go, then he is just gonna continue to sweep on through. I think he's gonna win a lot of HOHs. Yeah, if he gets in a showmatch, that's gonna help him as well. I think he's one to watch.
I think he's one to watch. I'm not banking on anybody as a winner pick yet, though. And we're gonna spend some time, think about that, let it simmer, and then come up with that maybe right before the premiere. But let's hear from you guys. Who do you like among the men of Big Brother Canada 8? Be sure to share in the comments. And if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the CARTERMATT store. And we'll see you here next time.